When you're having a daughter that you know is going to die at some point after she's born, maybe you've got hours, maybe you have a precious day, maybe you have a week. You're really anticipating a very, kind of difficult thing to work through. You're not like looking forward to it in the same way. You're like really like there's a lot of tension in between that. You want that time to be almost like prolonged. And one of the things that happened early is like Anne was very quickly showing. And so I people would come up to her and say, "Oh, I could tell you're pregnant," and they'd be excited, and like it'd be so hard to deal with that because we have to you can only tell people like once per day, like what situation we were
Once a
in.
week. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
and like it was so hard to tell people. So I like published it online. Because the other thing was it was so hard to like listen to things people would say too to try to solve our problem. I put it online, and then people could kind of like work through it on their own, and then reach out to us. And we got so much mail. We got like it was like our mailbox was jammed full every day
Well,
of mail.
and to tee that up, we had asked people because we decided to share the story online because there were a lot of questions. It was this deep thing that we were walking through as a family, and we're pretty transparent to some extent online. And so, it was like this thing that we shared with our friends on Facebook. And one of the things that we asked for then in this journey of sharing with a wider audience was for people to send us artwork for Ember's delivery room that we would like hang up.
Sam's class started making something, and then we were making some things that we posted online.
Yes, but that's why our mailbox was so full.
Yeah, and then people started seeing this plan, and then they started, because we were sharing the journey online, they started really filling the mailbox.
Yeah,
and
with
it
cool
was
artwork.
jammed. I mean, there's still things we're discovering that is unopened from that time. There was so much mail that we got. When we got there to the hospital, my job first day was to like wallpaper the whole delivery room in this beautiful artwork. And it was so meditative and like just this like it just gave me the space to kind of like do that work and feel like I was going to celebrate our little girl. The room was like colorful and full of life, and anybody that would look in would be like, wow, something's really going on in there.
Well, and it was cool too because like you could look at each of the pieces of artwork or, poem or whatever that people sent, and like you knew who it was that had sent that to you. And so it was just like a cool reminder of all the people who were praying for us, thinking of us leading up to this.
People loved our daughter. Like that was the coolest part. Like if there was a way to heal her and it cost $1 million, we would have raised it in like 2 minutes, with all the support we had.
Ember was born, I don't know, I'd been in the hospital for over a day because it was a scheduled induction. Wow. When she came, even though I was on pain meds, it was actually a pretty painful experience. I felt like I had run a marathon, but like here was my baby, and she came out exactly how they said she would. She would not have her eyes open and she wouldn't cry, which is, for anyone who's had a baby, is like not at all what it's like. I mean, your baby comes out screaming at the top of their lungs, moving their arms, moving their legs, everything. And she came out like almost like she was asleep. So it was pretty peaceful, actually. Right away, they put her on my chest to do skin to skin. And we do have it on camera that she took a few pretty labored breaths, but we did get to see her breathe. In my mind, I was like, soak this up. Like, this is it. This is what you get with her. But right after giving birth, it's hard because you're just like purely exhausted. So I felt like I was in this constant state of like just exhaustion, but like trying to be in the moment. Like shortly after she was born, like looking at her and saying, "You were so worth it." Because I completely felt that way. Like it was so worth it to get to where we were right then.
All that time we've been thinking about and
like what would
praying
she
for this
look
little
like,
girl, and like she was there, and like I thought she was the most beautiful thing. I thought she was the most amazing thing. And
Yeah.
everybody did it. Like Joey just couldn't stop looking at her and like
Yeah.
wanting
We
to
have this picture of him, like, pointing at her as this 2-year-old,
yeah.
and we did get a family picture, which I'm so thankful, like, while she was still alive, um, in the hospital bed. I think I was the only one me and Joe were the only ones that held her because she just felt so fragile and delicate. Yeah, but it was wonderful because our kids all got to meet her. My parents got to meet her. Joe's parents got to meet her. And this is in like sort of the thick of COVID still. And so, like, it was even remarkable that they let all of our family come up there and, like, just be waiting for her birth to, like, quick come in and see her. I think we held her for like 7, 8 hours. And then the funeral home actually came in to take her. And that felt like so bizarre.
Yeah, that was
Like,
weird.
putting your baby in, like, a giant, like, box for somebody to take away, you know? So weird. Not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah. It was hard too, like when it felt like she was like, because um, like she spent like Ember spent most of her time skin to skin on Anne, but then by the time I got her, she was starting to get cold, and it was like that was different. Like I remember the first time I held Sam, and it was like that was like no other feeling, like feeling this like warm little guy like looking at you,
Yeah.
like just looking at you, and like when I held Ember, I was like. She was getting cold and she just wasn't looking at me.
Yeah. And she just, didn't move. She never really moved. And she was starting to get, like, ashen, like, the pink from her face was like, she was just starting to look, like, not there.
So we
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of time. We just
Yeah.
had like a precious hour and
Yep. With her
and
still
we got to
alive.
see these breaths and um it was so amazing to be there with you through that.
Mhm.
And honestly I remember now as I look back as like this most beautiful thing. Like just it was like God like just there with us, like sad with us and yet like taking our baby. Like it was real, like it was by far the best day. It turned out to be like the best day. It was like as though there was like a reset button. Like you like that was it. The reset button on the whole on all of us. Ember was this force that like was gonna burn down the whole forest, and that it was starting. Like right there, it was starting.
Mhm.
I wanted to get so much more intentional about how I was parenting my boys, and like how I was leading them, and like it was like that was like this anchor for my whole vision for our family
Mhm.
that we're living out now.
Well, we did have a celebration of life for Ember, that because of the unique situation, we were able to really plan in advance, which again feels weird, but like it allowed us to really be thoughtful, intentional, about things we wanted, music we wanted played, having, certain people sing. And it really allowed for some amazing friends, to come and travel across the country. That was sort of the last time that we really got to see Ember. We didn't have an open casket, but me and Joe got to have time with her before the funeral. It was good to see her one final time and good to see her, I guess, in sort of like this peaceful, beautiful condition.
And there was so much like that we learned and gained through the process that then when we came to the funeral, I was like, I felt like I was like burdened to like share with everyone. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell this story about like what God was doing in our lives. And and that got live streamed, and like somehow like 60,000 people watched it. And it just again was like that fire that was starting from a little ember, and
Mhm.
how it just was. I mean, this was it. This was like people were impacted. I remember how it was impacting our kids too. Like Sylvan was pushing the casket like down the aisle, and I said, "Sylvan, do you know what's in the box?" And he says, "Nope." And I said,
That's funny.
I said, I said, Sylvan, your sister is in the box. And he's like, we're going down the aisle, and he's like, my sister's in the box.
Yeah,
And then
so
he says,
Sylvan.
"Hey, Sam, Ember's in the box." And like he says that like while we're pushing the thing down,
Yeah,
pushing our casket down the aisle, and it was amazing, like to see like what was
yeah,
happening within our boys, and them like their awareness to life and death and reality. It all got really real.
mhm,
I mean, and the funeral was kind of like this, kind of like really it was the movement from us suffering and finding and discovering to now me wanting to share. That's like where I begin to love sharing and telling about my daughter. I love talking about her now,
yeah.
ever since then.